We're recording.
We're recording? Okay. Okay. Call the meeting of the Landmark Commission on February 23rd to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Alan Griffiths.
Here.
Rob Truca.
Here.
Mike Meisner. Louis Schultz.
Lou Schultz.
Brian Whaley.
Here.
Kima Yandel.
Perfect. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for January 18th?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Minutes are approved. This is a special meeting to review an application for 149 East Water Street, which we have in front of us. And go ahead, Alec.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Property has been minimally altered since its original condition. This is located in the downtown Sandusky Commercial Historic District. It's a contributing structure. The history of this building, it was built around 1860 and operated as a grain and supply store for over 87 years. The Ohio Historic Inventory of 1979 states the following regarding the building's important features, and that is rounded arch, second and third story windows with ornate cement braiding over arches, brackets on first floor cornice, metalwork pilasters at doorways. There are 6 scope items for this application, and they include facade paint color, the storefront, windows, deck, rooftop, and exterior lighting. So let's start with the facade paint color. The applicant seeks to make paint color alterations. The documents submitted include 2 proposed options, option A and option B. Staff discussed with the applicant that using a dark green accent color on the decorative moldings with a lighter color for the braiding would provide a contrast similar to the historic photograph. So on the screen here, they originally proposed to have the braiding just a gray to match in with the pilasters on top. And staff recommended we make those braids a darker color. The applicant's favored color of the 2 is the green, which is highlighted in red on the screen. On to scope item 2 is the storefront alteration, which includes the window and framing and then the door. The window and framing is, they look to replace the existing aluminum storefront windows with new aluminum storefront and a dark bronze finish. The applicant has stated the framing is not historic, except for the columns, and the historic columns will remain intact. The door, for the new entry doors, the existing door will remain and serve as an emergency exit for the stairwell being added. The new door will be located to the left of the existing door where there's currently a window. Let's see if I can get a street view of that. Staff expressed the new door design would benefit from being aligned with the existing door design. Per this drawing on the right, the red lines, having these features be aligned in an architectural fashion. Staff met with the applicant and favored that approach. Let's see, the applicant stated they would provide a concept for the tenant to review before presenting it to the commission. At the least, the proposed sign would align with the new doorway and not span across the entirety of the space between the columns. At a minimum, that's what staff would like to see. Item number 3 of scope is the windows. I don't know why this is out of order. Must have not had any supplemental material for this. So the windows of the second and third floors facing Water Street are historic and will remain in place with restoration and painting as necessary. The applicant seeks to replace all of the north-facing windows. The applicant stated the windows are non-historic and will be replaced with new traditional wood, double-hung windows such as Pella Architectural Series, traditional or a comparable alternate. They also stated they're going to match existing white trim and that window screens will be provided for all units. Item number 4 is a deck addition on the back of the building, the north side of the building. It's going to be a composite outdoor deck with metal cable railings on the north facade facing Shoreline Drive, spanning the exterior of the door and 2 windows as depicted on the screen. Option number 5 is a rooftop addition. The applicant seeking to place a new open patio on the roof. Also a roof patio section, and then a stairwell. Scope item number 6 is exterior lighting. An exterior light is proposed to be installed above the far right door of the Water Street facade.
Just a couple comments to add in from Mr. Oak's presentation. The three biggest pieces that we had conversation with with applicant, as he mentioned, was just adding some of that darker paint color above the windows so it mimicked this contrast you can see in the historic photo, whether that's the natural stone or paint originally. It really makes those decorative window moldings pop, which they liked as a suggestion, and the tenant also agreed. They met us at the building and gave a tour. And then the door comments were mostly about if they're keeping that existing door, helping the major design elements of those two doorways right next to each other be in alignment, rather than the new door drawing a lot of attention to itself for being this kind of different element and letting those columns shine. The columns are the most historic element on the first floor of that facade. And then one final comment on the rooftop. So we had a great discussion in this rendering. It really looks like that rooftop addition is giving a prominent kind of piece of architecture from the waterfront side. And they went out and took some measurements and provided a section for us, which I think, Mr. Oakes, you have in another slide.
There you go.
So this is what you would see from across the street. So you can notice there's two kind of human figures right in front of the door on the same side of the street. If you look up, you're not going to be able to see this at all on their side. And if you cross the street and look up, you're going to be able to see just a little bit, that first 3 feet. But they cut in a diagonal the stairwell that comes up, so they minimize the view of this rooftop from Water Street. And that's the best practice for rooftop additions, is to make sure the primary facade, the historic facade, has the least impact, and then you'll be able to see more from the back, but that's okay because it's the back of the building.
A few additional comments from staff. We'll start with the facade paint color on top of Aaron's comments. So both options are appropriate per the guidelines. Staff's okay with the preferred option of option B, actually, is what the green is. And having those braided historical objects, having a contrast would be beneficial, but it's not required per our guidelines. The storefront alteration, keeping the columns is preferred, and that is what the applicant has provided. For the new additions, we want to match it with existing features. So staff recommends altering the proposed door addition design to align with the existing door transom, and then the signage as well and the height to match existing conditions. For the windows, staff has commented that they're all appropriate in style materials such as wood and aluminum. The existing window openings are not being altered in shape or size. There's no concern on that. The color of the white trim is also appropriate. The rear deck is appropriate in what's considered the back of the building. That's what the guidelines say is preferred for building additions. Staff recommends dark colors such as bronze to match the storefront aluminum, or matching the dark accent color in the painted color scheme. For the rooftop addition, given the updates, staff feels that these are appropriate, and also the design and materials. The exterior lighting, the guidelines encourage the use of small lighting features with simple design, fixture heads not exceeding 12 inches in height to avoid excessive brightness. More information is requested from staff to give a recommendation. There was very minimal information given to us. Based on all these comments, the renovation and improvements of the Grainer building will add life and activity to all the floors of this historic structure and activate this area downtown. And staff overall appreciates the time and investment into this building. We recommend supporting and granting the certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions, and that's that all applicable permits are obtained through the building, engineering, and planning department, and any other applicable agency prior to any construction. And our second condition is that the new proposed doorway and signage design is aligned with primary features of the existing doorway, including the consideration of adding a transom window above the new door. Signage does not exceed the height of new storefront windows. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from commissioners? Anything? No. The applicants want to say anything? You certainly don't have to. I was afforded the opportunity to kind of have a walk around this building, and I personally would just like to commend the application. I think it's, does a great job of bringing an old building back to life and into use, which will be a huge benefit for us, and especially the way that you dealt with the rooftop situation, which, you know, we've struggled a little bit in this town to make sure that we're appropriately using our rooftops. We want to use them appropriately, and I think this does that. So I, for one, think this is an excellent application. Any other comments?
I just think that the idea of the two doors matching is important.
Yep.
I would say one thing, sorry.
Yeah, to come up to the mic and just,
Brian Casper, Biaco Construction, working with Family Health Services. The architect, Jeff Foster, it was, you know, he's done a lot of projects. He did our project at the Shoreline Drive, or the Shore and Island building and the building next to it. Having him be involved and know what you guys are gonna look for is really good from a developer standpoint.
Yeah.
And he, in particular, I'm sure there's others, but he starts with all that stuff, you know, knowing what you guys are gonna want, and it makes this process a lot simpler. So if there was a way to push that forward, I mean, your staff helps a ton, but, you know, getting those architects that know what you're looking for has certainly helped our process a lot, so.
perfect.
Thank you. And, you know, the building has no second or third floor at all.
Right.
And so to have a tenant like Family Health Services, that's going to be great for the city, put a second and third floor in, as costly as that is, it's just a great use for this building.
Yeah, excellent. The one thing I would just let you know is that we do have funding for, and a project about to start to streamline and redo our guidelines, which should be kind of a late fall type thing. And we'll certainly make sure that people like Jeff, who, I agree with you 100%, he gets it. And those streamlined guidelines hopefully will help developers and architects understand what the requirements are up front earlier on. So, good, thank you very much. Okay, no further discussion. Can I have a motion on this particular application?
A motion to approve.
Second?
Any further discussion? Okay, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Does that motion include the staff?
Yes. Conditions.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry.
So we're moving as usual to.
It's been a while.
To approve with staff recommendations.
Words.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to see the names. Rob Truca,
Yes.
Alan Griffiths,
Yes.
Ryan Whaley,
Yes.
Louis Schultz.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is approved. Thank you very much. And good luck with your building. Any other business?
I have one comment through the chair, if I may.
Yep.
We did have an introductory kickoff call with the design team for the design guidelines process. We'd love to have maybe one, maybe two landmarks commissioner involved on maybe a more regular basis. We thought maybe Alan and Lou, since you have the historic, or Alan and Rob, since you're chair and vice chair, but I'd let you all volunteer to maybe be on some of those calls with us. We looked at a stakeholder timeline. They're going to do a series of stakeholder calls, I think end of March, early April, and we're going to help them build out a stakeholder list, which we might include like some recent applicants, developers that have done several projects, architects, former commissioners, you know, Old House Guild, city commissioners, and they'll help us build out a stakeholder list. They're going to do a bunch of one-on-one calls just to get an idea of like, what's the temperature of this? What are the hot button issues? What really needs more help in the design guidelines in this process? And then we'll do a public workshop. We discussed potentially doing that during the April landmarks meeting. So they would come to the meeting, give a presentation, so that could be public and a little bit more formal. And then after the meeting's adjourned, have some interactive elements, some conversations that are a little more casual. So that would be open to the public, so all commissioners could participate as well as anyone who else would like to join. But we're already assembled for that regularly scheduled meeting. We thought that might be a good time to do it.
Aaron, so I know Ed Window some time ago had some concern. If someone buys a piece of property downtown that is going to come under our jurisdiction, are they now notified right immediately at the time of the transfer of what the restrictions are?
There's not currently a process in place. We've discussed the potential for having that happen. I think it would have to be a county-city collaboration because they are, shepherd the transfer of ownership of properties. We have built into our systems that anytime a permit's pulled, the system that we're using to organize permits flags with like a bright red script that says cannot approve a permit without a landmark certificate of
So at
appropriateness.
least-
So we've got that. Darsh, our intern last year, logged all of those. So we have greatly improved the
That's-
ability
I
to
think
make sure
that's helpful
owners
because
know.
It saves us some trouble because people, I know over at Cedar Point in the Cove, we've got these restrictions. People buy a house, they don't even know what they are, so it's better to know right up front. It saves a lot of hassle.
Yeah, it's remarkable to me how often people will buy a piece of property and not know what the zoning is, what the land uses are permitted in there, whether it's historic or not. In an ideal world, they'd get a little lovely package, welcome to Sandusky, with some chocolates and a couple of letters of like, here's what you need to know to own in this property here. But hopefully we can get to that someday.
Cool, thank you. I'm certainly happy to volunteer, so I think individually, if people are interested, let Aaron know.
I would do it if I was needed.
Yeah, I'm open to it. Just let me know.
Good. Anything else?
I just want further comment. Just like to thank the commissioners for having this quick turnaround for this special meeting. It's been a lot easier than other boards. I don't mention names to get this to happen, so I really appreciate it from my end.
Good. I guess that's a point for us generally. If you know you're going to be away or you're going to be out of town for a particular meeting, the more advance notice we can get, the more we can reschedule if we need to, avoid people having to come to things that aren't going to have a forum, et cetera. Good, okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.